Now back to Inside West Virginia Politics with Mark Curtis.
And welcome back to Inside West Virginia Politics, where we are in the middle of two 4th of July weekends, since the 4th falls on a Wednesday this year. And transportation issues are always front and center when we have a big national holiday. Right now we're joined by Tom Smith. He's the Secretary of Transportation here in the state of West Virginia. Great to see you again.
Good to see you, Mark.
It's been a while since the road bonds passed, since we've had you on. You're doing some special things that are already underway this weekend in terms of opening up roadways that have been under construction so holiday travelers can get to and from their destination. Explain what's going on.
Well, we recognize with the interstate reconstruction that there are certain weekends that are super important to have the public have availability of this, so we built those into our contracts. And a good example of this is I-77 carries a major amount of traffic north-south out of West Virginia to Myrtle Beach and places like that. So that's an example where the contract has provisions for the contractor to have that all open back up for the holiday week. July the 4th is a Wednesday. So he is in the process of finishing up with the idea that we get it opened even as early as this coming weekend, and then leave the whole roadway open over the holidays. Yeah. That'll mean the truck detour goes away for that period of time. Then ultimately, he will do a reset after the whole week of the 4th and actually start working on the southbound lanes and get the truck detour going again on 460 over through Bluefield and through Princeton. So the idea was to try to give the public access to that whole roadway, and that's the sort of planning we're doing all over the state, trying to recognize holidays, trying to recognize the importance of WVU football to our economy. So for example, we're really working hard to make sure that when the fall comes that we've taken care of that sort of provision as well. Yeah,
it's interesting, and the reason, of course, that we're in the middle of all of this is the passage of the road bonds last year. We're seeing a lot of construction work in all 5 of the television markets we cover on this show across West Virginia. Where do the road bonds stand? What's the progress? What's the hiring been like? Give us kind of a sum up.
Well, it's time for me, as I always try to do, to recognize my boss, Governor Justice, with the vision that he had for this huge infusion of dollars to kickstart the economy. This is about transportation, but even more importantly, it's about kickstarting the economy of our state, and we are able to get that going in so many different ways. Last May, just a month ago, we ended up selling the general obligation bonds, got over $900 million that are going to fund some of the most expensive projects around the state. We are getting ready to actually do bonding with federal aid funding. Those are called Garvey bonds this coming month in July, and that will actually fund about another $100 million worth of work. In July, July and early August, we're going to actually be selling turnpike bonds, and that'll fund about $172 million more of work in 10 southern West Virginia counties. So work beginning to happen all over the place. We've got the work that we let to contract last fall with Garvey bonds back then, and that has resulted in lots of interstate construction that you've seen starting to happen all over the state as well. In particular, we're seeing I-64 from Milton to Huntington, and that's been a real trouble spot. The contraflow lanes are in there now. What's your advice to people going to and from Charleston and Huntington? Yeah, I-64 is a very important project because of the amount of traffic it carries. What we found was the public was driving at excessive rates of speed there. We worked with Colonel Cahill and the state police and local police. We put up additional signing. The most important message for folks is just slow down, pay attention to the work zones, and for goodness sake, put down your cell phone.
We're talking about all the work that's out there. Are there still jobs available, and do people contact your department, or where do they go looking for these jobs?
Well, there certainly are jobs available, and what Governor Justice talked about during the road bond campaign was how infrastructure investment creates thousands and thousands of jobs. So there are jobs at the Highway Department. They can contact our HR department there. There are jobs with contractors. We work with our contractors to do job fairs, and so we can get information to you about where job fairs are coming up. So people can work on the public side with highways. They can work on the private side with contractors, with consultants. But then there will be, as this road bond really ramps up, there'll be additional jobs that happen out there because of the trickle-down aspect of this investment. So there'll be hotel jobs, restaurants, and folks like that. The nature of this is it really generates economic recovery.
Well, it's an exciting time in West Virginia. Secretary of Transportation Tom Smith, thanks for being with us today on Inside West Virginia Politics. We'll keep in touch on this issue.
Very good, Mark. Thanks.
You're welcome. We'll have more of our program this week. Stay with us.